Okay, so class, we are going to start the today's session, and in that today's session, what we are going to learn is something which is graphical interface. um, okay, by using Swing framework of Java. So, and in that we are going to understand the file handling, and we are going to understand the another part, that is database connectivity with MySQL using JDBC. Hmm. So this topic we are going to see. So in last session, what we left here in tutorial one, we create a simple frame here, and in that frame, I have shown you that the two part, that is called as a set visible, set size, and set title. So you can create the object of what the JFrame. So before continue on this swing, so let me explain what is swing here. Okay, so swing is a framework of a Java framework where you can create the swing is a Java framework where you can create a desktop application with Java. Mhm. So you can create simple calculator, you can create paintbrush kind of what the application. You can create a simple database connectivity application with the help of what the Swing. So Swing has a rich components, graphical user components. So the first is what the container here. So different kind of container where what is container object here? Okay, and so container is nothing but container is the object where you can place another object into it, object into it. Okay, for example, in life, the you are using a bottle here. Okay, and in that bottle is a itself is a one kind of water container. Okay, and in that container you are pouring, mm, you are keeping some water into it or some liquid into it. So liquid is also one kind of water object, and the bottle is another object, but bottle is a container. Okay, so here I'm saying this is uh, another object into some object. So this is a bottle, and you are putting a water inside. Okay, and bottle is a container. Okay, and both are objects. Okay, both are objects. So you can compare this with your box. You can compare this with your n number of objects in life where other objects are part of part that contain. So if you see, Java has n number of water containers. So three containers are there. Okay, where the first is frame here, where you can check the frame object here, which has minimize button, maximize button, and the close button here. Okay, and so you can minimize the window, you can maximize the window, and you can close the window. Okay, by using this frame here. So this is my frame. Second is there is a window object which is especially used for the I can say it's specially used for creating a component which don't have any kind of what the minimize button and maximize button. It's only having a simple I can say a rectangle box here. Okay, and don't have any kind of what the um, any kind of minimize, maximize, and close button. So this is a window. I can say a J window. This is J frame, and you can use as per your requirement. You can use which container you want to use here. So the first is J frame, and the second is the J window here. Okay, and third is panel, where you can add sub container as a panel inside. Okay, so we are going to see the JFrame as well as we are going to see panel. So this is also panel container of panel kind. Okay, so I can check this is a container of panel. N number of panel I can add inside. Okay, so there is a J panel. Okay, which is we use as an intermediate container. Okay. So if we decide to use this container, and then that container is inherited from a frame that is abstract Windows toolkit, and that is a toolkit for designing a GUI. But Swing is actually having more features where the first feature is a look and feel here. So you can create the look and feel as per your operating system, and they comes with the different look and feel. So to place any kind of what the object on it, like if I want to place a text boxes here, okay, then I need always a container here. Okay, so first I have to create a container, then I'm going to add text boxes into it. Okay, and this is a button here. So if I am creating such kind of what the uh, component, I should add first a container, and then I'm going to add a text field inside it. So this is my text field container a component, and n number of GUI components are there, and each has a different water classes. So I can add n number of text field, I can add n number of buttons. As per my design, I will design my application here. Okay, and this is a button kind of what the object here is actually saying. Every time they are putting a J before that. Okay, because here we are using Swing as a framework. So they create a class called as a J text field, J button, and we can create a button here, and J frame is a container. So let us understand with the help of example. So this is my tutorial number one, and I already created my frame class, which is extended from JFrame, and I have created the set the property. By default, it is false. Okay, so if you are not calling this property, so it's not showing any kind of what frame here. So our application is running here, but it won't show any kind of what output here, because the frame is not visible here. So I'm just closing it, and after closing that, I'm going to use this property. So set visible to will show the size of frame here, and second part is set size. So you can size the width and the object. So if you look at that bottom here, so on a taskbar there is a bottom, only the frame is available here. If you look at this frame, so this is my frame, and this is my entire frame is there, and I'm just increasing the width and the height and width here, so I can create the frame and show in front of you. So once I close it, then still it is running. So I have to use something event which is called as a set default close of operations, which has a value called as exit on close. So whenever I click on close, at that time this function is getting called and it's closing my application from memory. If I'm not using this, so if I keep on running this file, so it's going to show the output here. Okay, so I have to close this forcefully through some memory. So it's saying building stop options are available. So now I'm clicking on set size and running again. Okay, so I can open n number of what the frame here. So the first frame is executed, and now I'm running again. The second frame is executed here. So my two applications are get executed here. Okay, because I have not using a close option. So when I click on close, still it is running here. So if you look at that, these two options are running here. So I'm forcefully closing this, terminating this from here. So remember, uh, whenever you create any kind of a GUI, these four function must be there. Okay, and you are using these set visible, set size, set title, and set default close operation in every application of GUI. And then you are creating my frame object here. So when you are creating my frame object, it's automatically called a constructor. So this is the constructor here, and the name of my frame is my frame here. So the constructor here and constructor is using by default this property. So let us create a simple Java classes here. So I'm choosing a demo GUI one. Okay, and I'm going to add some various uh, frame inside it. So I'm choosing public static void main and string arguments here. And inside that, I'm going to create the frame. So I'm creating class and saying my uh, frame uh, and demo. And here I'm writing extends from JFrame here. Okay, and this is my class, which name is my frame. Okay, so I'm importing my JavaX Swing package here, so it's available to me. And then I'm creating a constructor here by simply writing my frame demo here. Okay, so inside that I'm going to use these four uh, methods which I already discussed here. So I'm just copying it and pasting it here. Okay, in my demo GUI. And so in this my demo GUI, I'm going to call my frame here. So I can directly call my frame demo. Okay, instead of creating object, because anonymous object will after all we need to call a constructor here. So either you create the object or you directly call. This depends upon your wish. If you are using my frame demo and then creating object and then you are writing, so in this case also is going to call a constructor. And if you are not putting any declaration and if you simply new my frame demo, this case also it's going to call the constructor, and in that constructor all the settings we are putting here. So let us see this is my output here, and this is my first frame, and set visible, set size, and set title is there, and close operations. I'm closing it. Now I want to add some button on it. So look at that. Some GUI components I'm going to add here. So the first I'm going to add JText field. Okay, and this is my txt first name. Okay, and I'm going to declare this j text field, and I'm just adding importing a Java Swing option. So j text field is a simple text field on first name, and I'm going to initializing this with a new object as a new j text field here. Okay, and inside that I'm putting a 10. What is this 10 means? This 10 is nothing but the number of characters I can put inside this text field. So this is my name of the object, and that is I purposely given the Hungarian notation. The first three character indicate that what kind of object it is. So it is a txt kind of object. So that's why I'm using Hungarian notation, and you are allowed to use the camel casing also. And so whenever you feel that the word is going to separate, so don't put a space because space is not allowed, but you can use the first character as an uppercase character. So this is style of coding, and all um, professional developers are using this. Okay, so this is first three character indicate that what kind of object is, and here this is a variable name. The reference as a text field reference. So I'm going to add these by choosing add txt first name. So what will happen? I'm going to add this object on my JSON here. Okay, so let us see what happened here and what kind of output it will give. And so if I'm running it, so you are getting this output, but if you see the whole container, and this is a focus which you are getting, and you can type something inside this text box. So whatever the container size is there, accordingly it is occupy the whole width and height with that object. Why it is happen? Because you are not creating any kind of what the layout here. So whenever you are adding any kind of what the components here, okay, so whatever the components are get added here, so you must add a layout here. So what are the important properties it's always required when you are handling the any kind of what the uh, application, or you are taking any kind of creating any kind of application in GUI in Java. Okay, so let me show you. So I'm just selecting here and double clicking here. Okay, and so this is things to be remember. I'm saying that the first part is create a container first. Uh, and the second part is add a component, okay, into it. So create, you can add n number of component, n number of GI component, okay. And after adding you are going to set a layout here. Layout, set a layout inside a container. Okay, so popular layout are uh, so we are going to see those layout. The first is what the flow layout here. The second is grid layout, and then box layout, and then card layout here. Okay, so I'm going to show you only two layout here. Rest of the layouts you can learn by your own. I'm going to show you these three layout. Okay, the first is flow layout. So flow layout is nothing but whenever you want to put, it's just like a, I can say the flow of water. Yeah. When the container size is changed accordingly, water is taking the shape of what the container is. For example, if you are using a container, uh, pouring a bottle inside what this drum, okay, I can say, then this the water will take a size according to the size of what the container. If my width is less, then water is taking a size according to the width and the height of what this container. So flow layout is like that only. So all components are place or place, and they will uh, take the size, or whatever the size is there, they will occupy the components according to the size. For example, this is taking a 10 width of this text field. So when I'm increasing the width, at that time all those components are goes one after another. Okay, and if they are fitting in what the width, then they comes one after another. Besides, if the width is less, then they comes one after another. I will show you. Okay, so this is my set visibility true I'm using, and I'm going to add one more component. Before that, I have to write a set layout method, and I'm creating object of new flow layout here. So I have to write the object and tell the container that you are going to use a flow layout. Okay. So you can place this layout anytime. Okay, anywhere, before size, after the size, it's not matter where you are placing it. So now I'm running this again. So look at the changes taking place here. Now my text field is up here, whatever the size is there, and it will take the total number of characters, where I can put the number of characters and whatever the width I have written, and that input I can take care. So I'm going to create one more field, and that is for a last name here. So this is a first name and the last name are the object here. So I'm just keep on declaring this, and I'm going to add my next part, and that is PHP last name here. Okay. So if you see as many as component I can add here, and if you run this application here again, so you will see the both components are available now, and they comes one after another. So one text field is come besides the second, because the width, whatever the width we are taking, accordingly those fields are there. So if I decrease the width, so the components are get shifted because it is a flow layout here. So component get shifted to the next row, and even though if you increase some width, then all the components are come uh, one after another. Okay, so this is something called as a the flow layout here. Okay, so I'm going to add some more. So I don't know what kind of input it is there. Okay, so I have to know you are taking a first name and the last name. So I need a label here. So I'm creating J label, and LBL, which stands for J label, and I'm declaring this LBL first name, and there is another uh, that is label for last name. So I'm declaring J label to J label object, and I have to initialize this. Okay, so first label and second label, and I'm going to initialize this LBL first name and equal to new J label. Okay, and then I'm writing the label here, that is first name. So people will enter the first name, then LBL last name label I'm going to put here, and the new J label, then I'm writing a last name. So only declaration is not essential. You have to add those labels. So I'm writing a LBL first name a label here. Okay, and besides that there is a first name input box. Then I'm going to add a label last name for the before the next input box, that is txt last name. So be careful, the order which you are using there, that will show the label first, and then the input box after that. So I'm just putting these one after another, because semicolon is indicating that it is the statement is ended. Either you place one after another, or you actually place one besides to other here. Okay, if you see the label and the text box, label and the text box here. So I'm just running the file, and you can see the object. So it's saying first name, and my size of width is what the more. That's why the next label is come here. So if I'm increasing, then I can see the first name and last name here. So if I'm decreasing my width of container, because of flow layout, my first name and last names are occurred one after another, and it is not a control on my width here. I can set the width, but I can't see the arrangement of what my component, because of whatever the width it is taking, accordingly the my components are get arranged, because I'm using a flow layout here. So what is grid layout then? Yeah, so flow layout, you understood that you are actually using the arrangement of component in a flow form. So whatever the size you are converting, okay, from increasing width and height, accordingly those components are rearranged in a flow layout. But in grid layout, it's just like a grid here, okay, and you can place the uh, component in a row and column here. So this is a grid, I can say. So you can arrange your component in a rows and column here, okay, and you can say accordingly. So this is grid layout. So in grid layout, you are going to tell how many rows, and each row how many component columns, how many columns components you are going to place. So if when you are moving your entire layout, okay, so it will not uh, change their place, okay, because you are arranging this in a grid layout. So let us see. I'm going to, I know, I want a grid layout here because I want a label here, and besides that label I want to put the text field. Okay, same way, there is another label and another text field which is arranged here. Okay, so label and the text field I want here, label and the text field, label and a text field. So I know how many rows are there. So there are 2 rows and 2 columns. So I'm going to create, instead of a new flow layout, I'm going to write a grid flow layout here, and I'm simply write grid flow layout, and I'm simply write 2 comma 2 here. So what will happen here when you are choosing a grid layout here? So I'm importing this swing component. So I'm just going to arrange my first name, and besides that there is a text field, and then last name, and besides that the other field. So if you look at this, so my first name and last name is arranged here, and you can see this is my first name and the last name, and the respective text fields are there here. Okay, so if you want to arrange your entire container, okay, according to the width and size, you simply saying a pack here. So pack will automatically take the width and height here. So when you click on pack, so you will get this particular uh, height and width of what object. But if you increase the uh, width and even the heights accordingly, the they are not moving, okay, because they are not leaving the position, but they can increase the height and the size of that layout. Okay, so you can add and set the preferred size by using set preferred size method. Okay, but I'm just telling you, it's no need to use that. So there is a first name, last name, and the text field. Similarly, you can add a checkboxes here and a radio button here. So if I'm choosing a radio button, then I will add a radio button here. So I would like to show my tutorial number 2 and just understand the entire uh, components which I use here and its content, the first name, last name, and the gender, male, female, and the text boxes. Okay, here that is check boxes. I can select and select here. So these are the check boxes component. These are the button components, and these are the radio components here. So when you click on a radio components, I would like to add a radio components here. So you can see the uh, difference between the checkbox and the radio. So just adding a radio component here. So J radio is a radio button is an object here. Okay, so if you choose a J radio button, You can import a radio button here, and I'm going to use RB male and RB female here. So what is this RB male and RB female? It's a radio button male and radio button female, and I want to use RB male initialization. So whenever you declare, you should initialize those component. Okay, by using new keyword. It has the if you want to see the document, so you just right click on Java doc. Show Java doc will take you to what the docs of Oracle website, and it will give the constructor. Okay, here. So there is a constructor. This is overloaded constructor. We already learned the constructor overloading here. So you can put icon. You can put the icon with a radio button selected mode. You can simply put a string here. So I'm going to use a string here, and this is my uh, mail. Okay, and I'm going to use this particular radio button, this constructor here. Okay, and by default you want to select this, then you choose boolean selected by default, but I don't want to do so. RB female is another uh, object of radio button kind, and then I'm choosing a female as a text here. So let us see. Before that, I have to add here. I'm going to add these after the button. So I'm choosing add RB male object radio button male and add RB female. And so these two objects I'm going to add. And now look at these two objects after giving a grid layout. So I'm choosing a grid layout here, that is instead of uh, two columns, I'm going to use three columns here, three rows and two columns as it is. So if you look at that, the male and female are place here. So I'm just so there is a male and female. So what is this male and female? I don't know. So in that case, I have to use a label called as a gender label. So LBL gender I need, and I'm going to initialize the label also. Okay, that is LBL gender, and I'm using new J label gender here. Okay, and then I'm going to add my label also, okay, in the this layout. But if I'm adding it on this label together, so what will happen? The LBL gender label is get added here. So if you are adding three components, so there are three components. One is label, second is radio button, and third is rail. And you are only giving a provision of three rows and two components. Okay, so what if you are adding one more component here? So the uh, arrangement is what get disturbed here. If you see this gender and all other stuffs are. So it's going to use RB male, RB female, and gender. So what I'm going to do here, I know my entire component are get disturbed. Okay, and it has three component, and the rest of the things are has a two component here. Okay, and then the grid layout will actually using giving me a wrong output. So I will create a intermediate container here. Okay, and in that intermediate container, I'm going to introduce something called as a J panel. Okay, so inside that I'm using a radio button panel here, and all radio button panels components I'm going to add here. So this is my J panel, and I have to initialize this J panel here. Okay, so after before adding all these components, I'm going to use a J panel. Okay, for these three components. So my radio button panel are going to initialize as an intermediate panel. So I'm writing radio button panel here. Okay, equal to new J panel. So what will happen? So this is a intermediate panel. So let us understand with the help of the diagram here. So in this particular uh, example, we are using a different kind of what the objects. So the first are the grid layout. If you see, these are the four components. Okay, and this is another component, and this is 2 by 2 grid, and then I'm going to create another panel where I want to place a label. Okay, and two radio button here. So this is a first radio button, and this is another radio button. So what will happen? So this is my intermediate panel, and that panel name I have given. Okay, that panel name I have given as a J panel, and it is radio button panel. Okay, so this is radio button panel. We'll add the object inside it. Okay, so all these are radio button panel. Okay, and I'm treating this as a single component, and these are the buttons I'm going to add inside it, and I'm giving a separate layout for that. So this radio button panel may have the flow layout here. So let us see. I'm creating a radio button panel, and I'm going to add all those components inside a radio button panel instead of main content. I'm choosing a radio button panel dot add. So my gender object is going to add here, and then radio button panel. Okay, and dot add, and then radio button panel. Okay, that add. Oh, what will happen in that case? So my radio button panel is a container where I'm adding this. Now I want to add this container to main container. So I'm going to add a radio button panel. Okay, so remember, so whatever the components you are adding in a sub container, so radio button is a intermediate container, I can say, or sub container, and this is radio button panel is added to main container, added to main container here. Okay, and so I'm adding this into the main container. So now look at this part again. Again, it's going to show some output here. So look, now look at, it won't disturb my what the first name and last name arrangement. And now gender male female are actually a simple radio button panel, and you can set those radio button panel uh, any kind of what the okay layout here. So you can set a separate layout, or otherwise by default the layout is a new flow layout here. Okay. Even though you are not setting any layout, it is understood that it is a flow layout. So, but I am purposely writing that. So I just want to show the difference between the main layout and the another layout. So main layout contains the arrangement of grid layout, and inside that this particular panel is there. So radio panel, if I want to give some border to the radio panel, so there is a title border object, and you can give, so there is a title border class, and you can give a title to any object here. So I'm creating title 1, title 2, and title 3 here. So I want to create 3 different titles here. Okay, and I'm going to give a title to second title to radio button. And so I need title 2 equal to new title border. So I just want to give a title to and a border to this particular object. Okay, so these are the title border. Okay, and I'm using some border here. So this is button panel, I can say a radio button panel, and I want to set this border to radio button. So if you see radio button panel dot, there is a set border. Okay, and I can state a border here and putting a title here. Whatever the title free I'm using that, I'm going to use this title here by choosing a title border. Okay, so let us run this demo. Yeah, you will see that this is my title border. Okay, it's not yet visible. It's supposed to visible here. So let me check why it is not. Title border, set border is there. Mm, yeah, and that is title 3. I'm initializing this as a title 3. So I just want to replace this with the title 3. Okay, I'm running this. So look at that, the border is available here and showing the border radio button panel with the title here. So this is my border, okay, and I can see a male and female array. What happened here? So when I'm choosing male, female, so both the things are what selected, which is I'm not expecting. Okay, so I should select only one. And so whenever you are handling the radio button, you should form a button group here. Okay, so there is a button group class. Okay, and you are going to use this radio button group. Okay, and you are grouping a button under one name. So let me show you. There is a tutorial number 2, and if you see, I have created a radio button and adding a text panel, and there is a something inside it that is called as a button group here. Okay, so I'm creating a button group object. Okay, here, and wants to add the button group object btn group, and I want to add my radio button into it. Okay, so when you are grouping it, so it is not acts like uh, a separate entity. So it is separately it is select considered as the one object. So it's only taking one of the object for a selection. So now I'm using male and female. Okay, and creating button group here. You don't need to add button group in here, but you are adding the radio button in a group here. So when I click on male or female, so either or it's going to select here. So it is only with remember, it is only with whom the it is only with your radio button, not with the checkbox, because in checkbox multiple selections are there. So whenever there is a multiple selection, you should use the check boxes, and if there is a single selection, you should use the radio button here. Okay, so this is my example which I'm going to discuss, and I'm going to fire some event here. Okay, and what we are going to see here, whatever the options I'm inputting here, like my name, here I'm writing, and I'm choosing a mail, and I know all these 3 languages. And when I click on OK, it's going to show some messages box here. So that event I'm going to fire. Okay. So this ready-made GUI already created here. Okay, and that is under tutorial 2. So that's why I give a demo here. So I'm not going to show this demo here. I'm going to use 3 more tutorial for file handling as well as some simple calculator here. So if you see, this is a simple calculator. That is, I'm creating a text boxes, and I'm using this combo box here. Okay, J combo box you can use and select any one of the options. And I'm using a button addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, and I'm placing the result here. So in tutorial 4, we are going to see a file handling here, and I'm using a class called as a student.java, which we already learned, okay, in class sessions. So we are using input data, display data, get roll number, set roll number, class. Uh, we already handled this class in the core Java part here. Also, same class I'm going to handle with tutorial number 4. Okay, so there is a person class, and I have created inheritance class called as a student. So there is a constructor, input data, and there is a display data. I'm not going to use input data and display data. I'm going to use only a property called as a set roll number, get percentage, set percentage. Okay. Similarly, I'm going to use a property of what the person called as a get name, set name, get age, set age. How useful this class to handle this kind of what the GUI. Okay, this is truly object-oriented programming which I'm showing here. Okay, so when I'm choosing this particular part and I'm entering a number here. So previously we entered the number in this example. If you see this particular example here, so a lot of object we created like student S1, S2. Okay, so we learn and we are taking an input from this particular object by calling input data and display data. Okay, so through console we take input. Now we are taking an input through a graphical user interface here, and we are uh, entering those data here by simply writing one, and the name is Sukiram. Okay, and the age is 23 and some percentage is 45.67. And whenever I click on save, it's going to show the output in this text area. Okay, and it gets saved inside the file. So we are going to see in a file handling part, because to understand how this particular uh, components are created. So I give an introduction of what the swing here. Okay, and this is a label, this is an event, and this is an output. So all these are labels, and all these are what the text boxes. I'm going to share this code with you. You can check, but I'm not yet giving any kind of what the event here. So I'm going to show event through the application here. So once I close this, I'm going to, after completing this, I'm using this tutorial number 5. And in this tutorial number 5, I'm going to show you a file handle. And instead of file handling, I'm going to show you a database connectivity here. So there is a database connectivity using the this way. So here I'm writing, instead of file handling, I'm choosing a database connectivity component. Okay. So in that database connectivity, I'm showing a navigation button also. So you can insert, update, delete the part here, and in that output you are able to see the data which is there inside the table. Okay, so whatever the data I'm writing here, and those data are get inserted into the respective uh, database. Okay, in MySQL, I'm going to show you how we can insert. I'm moving this entire component to right hand side, and here I'm using the navigation which I not yet add. Okay, so I'm going to add a navigation panel. So there is a navigation panel. Okay, if you see, there is a now panel, and in that navigation panel I'm going to add the J button here. Okay, and those buttons are nothing but btn first. Okay, then btn next, and then btn previous, and then btn last. So if you want to take a last uh, component, okay, move to the last record from the database. If you want to move to the first record, if you want to move next record, then previous record, so you can keep on adding those records. So I will show you this after 2 days. Okay, once we complete the file handling tomorrow, and we are applying this file handling information in this graphical user interface. And this is a calculator which I'm going to show right now. So there are still 3 minutes. So I'm using the calculator here. Okay, so if you see, if you want to do addition, subtraction, multiplication, you are going to get the value of number one, number two, and you are going to print the result by clicking on that. So I am going to handle my the listener here. So registering a listener to a button here. Okay, registering a listener, okay, to a button. So there is an action listener, and you are going to add those listener to the button. So this is a event handling part. I'm going to show you here in Java. Okay, so button one. So what is my first button? That is btn add. Okay, and so I'm choosing a btn dot add. Okay, so btn add and dot. If I'm using, then there is a add action listener. And if you look at this particular part, and you are saying you want to add a action listener to this component here. Okay. So whenever you are going to add an action listener to a button, then you are going to implement this. Okay, by using this. So when I'm using the button add, so btn add is what my action listener. So I'm going to set action listener. So there is a button add, button multiplication, and button division here. Okay, so for each button, I'm going to do a action on each button. So there is a btn add, and I'm using add action listener. Okay, and what is this these option here? These option indicate that you are going to use some event, firing event for what this particular button. So I'm choosing add action listener here, and here also I'm saying this, and then between mm, next is between multiplication. Okay, and add action listener. Okay, this, and the next is between division, and then add actions. Okay, so whenever you are going to use this listener and you have decided to use this listener, so either way, if you want to implement the action listener here, so if you see, you are saying implements, and if you are writing action listener is a object. So here you are, they are saying use all abstract methods. So if you are using this, so it's going to create the action listener, or action perform is a method which is, I can say it is the body. Okay, which I have to write, and this is my action perform is my method, and abstract method. So I'm going to write a body. But how I came to know that which button is uh, okay, so there is a e event, and I can check the object. Okay, so there are various object, you can check this by id, you can check by using action command, and if you simply write it is my object. Okay, and it is what kind of object? It's btn add kind of what it is, a button object. Okay, and if I'm saying it is object, or there is a another card, and if you see the action command, it's written command associated with this action. Okay, and you can create the uh, various option, and you can find out the action object here. Another part here, when you don't have all these part, okay, only one button add is there, and you don't have all other buttons is available. So in that case, you don't need to mention the here, simply you can write the output here. So I'm just using showing the output on one of the text box, that is txt number one. Okay, and so in that txt number one, I'm just writing, for time being I'm writing txt number one dot text. So this is my txt number one object. Okay, and I'm going to choose a text here. Okay, and there is a method called as a set text here. I think the button add is what the file is, and button is file, and I'm using this. So this txt number is not available here. So I have to check why it is not available. I should use this particular method inside this class, but it should available. So I'm stopping here. I will continue in the next class because there are 6:28. Okay, so tomorrow I will continue this and explain how you can use the fire event inside the GUI. Okay.